I am Joshua Sterling, 36 years old, and the moment I heard my daughter's broken voice over a satellite phone, I stopped being a soldier and started being a nightmare. Before I tell you about the night I brought a war to the suburbs, tell me in the comments where you are watching from. The heat in Yemen is different. It's not just hot. It's a physical weight that presses down on your chest, making every breath feel like you're inhaling broken glass. I was lying prone on a ridge, looking through the scope of a long-range rifle. My team was down in the valley, moving a VIP extraction target through a hostile village. It was a standard operation for Black Aegis, the private security firm I had built from the ground up. Nobody knew I was the owner. To the guys on the ground, to the clients, even to my ex-wife back in the States, I was just a highly paid operator. A grunt with a specific set of skills. I liked it that way. Kept the target off my back. Kept my family, what was left of it, safe. My earpiece crackled. Alpha 1 to Overwatch. Package is secure. Moving to extraction point. Copy that, Alpha 1. I whispered. Eyes on. You have 2 bogies moving to your 6. Take the alley on the left. Everything was going according to plan, until the vibration started against my chest. It was my personal satellite phone. Only 3 people in the world had that number. My second in command, Marcus, the President of the United States, and my 14-year-old daughter, Lily. I never took personal calls on an op. It was rule number 1. But a feeling hit me. A cold spike of adrenaline that had nothing to do with the armed militia moving below me. It was a primal instinct. I rolled onto my back, keeping one hand on the rifle, and answered. Sterling. Daddy. The voice was weak, trembling. It sounded wet, like she was speaking through a mouthful of water. Or blood. Lily? Honey, I'm working. Are you okay? Daddy, it hurts. She sobbed. A jagged, terrifying sound. He wouldn't stop. My blood ran cold. The desert heat vanished. Who wouldn't stop? Lily, where are you? The hospital, she whispered. Silas. I didn't want to clean his shoes, Dad. They were muddy. I just said I had homework. He got so mad. He threw me down the stairs. I sat up. I stood up, completely exposing my position on the ridge. I didn't care. He threw you down the stairs? And then he came down, and he kicked me, she cried. And Mom just stood there. She told me to stop being dramatic. She held my arm so I couldn't crawl away while he taught me a lesson. The world tilted on its axis. My vision tunneled. The sounds of the firefight starting below were muffled, distant, irrelevant. Put the doctor on, I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. It was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that happens before a tsunami hits the shore. There was a shuffling sound, and then a woman's voice. Mr. Sterling? This is Dr. Emily Chun from Cedar Hills General. Your daughter has 3 broken ribs, a fractured ulna, and a severe concussion. We've stabilized her, but she's in a lot of pain. Is her mother there? Mrs. Sterling left about 20 minutes ago, the doctor said, her voice tight with disapproval. She said she had a dinner reservation she couldn't miss. She signed the consent forms and left. She left. My daughter was lying in a hospital bed with broken bones, and Elena had left for a dinner reservation. Dr. Chun, I said, do not let anyone near her. I am coming. If Silas Thorne or Elena Sterling tries to enter that room, you call the police. Do you understand? I understand, she said. I hung up. Overwatch. We are taking fire. We need cover. The voice in my earpiece was screaming. I looked down at the valley. I looked at the extraction helicopter approaching in the distance. It was a Black Hawk, painted in matte black, the property of my company. I keyed my mic. Alpha 1, this is Overwatch. I am scrubbing the mission. What? You can't scrub. We have the VIP. The VIP is your problem now, I said. I started running down the ridge, sliding over rocks and shale, moving toward the landing zone. When I reached the chopper, the pilot, a guy named Rodriguez, looked at me confused. Boss? We waiting for the team? No, I said, climbing into the back. Take me to the airfield. Now. Sir, General Clayton is on the comms. He's losing his mind. I grabbed the headset from the dashboard. Sterling. The general's voice was a roar. What the hell do you think you are doing? That VIP is worth $10 million to the State Department. If you leave the field, I will have you court-martialed. I will strip you of every contract you have. I will bury you. I looked out the window at the endless sand. I thought about Lily. I thought about her small hands when she was a baby. I thought about the fear in her voice. General, I said, you don't understand. I'm not an employee anymore. What does that mean? It means I quit, I said. And the Black Hawk? It's mine. I bought it. I'm taking it home. You can't do that. That is theft of military assets. Check the registration, Pete, I said, using his first name for the first time. Black Aegis owns the bird. Black Aegis owns the gear. And right now, Black Aegis is going to war on American soil. I ripped the headset off and threw it on the floor. Rodriguez, I said to the pilot, get us to the jet. Then I want you to assemble the Alpha team. Full loadout. Urban combat gear. We aren't going back to base. We're going to Virginia. Rodriguez looked at me. He saw the look in my eyes. He didn't ask questions. He just nodded and pulled on the collective. Yes, sir. As the helicopter lifted off, leaving the dust of Yemen behind, I pulled up a photo on my phone. It was Silas Thorne, the man Elena had left me for, the man who drove a Lamborghini and claimed to be a real estate tycoon, the man who had just touched my daughter. I didn't feel anger anymore. Anger is hot. Anger is messy. What I felt was cold, industrial, efficient. I wasn't going home to visit. I was going home to collect a debt. And the currency was going to be blood. The flight from the Middle East to Virginia is long, even in a private Gulfstream G650. But time moves differently when you are haunted. I sat in the leather seat, staring at the clouds, but all I could see was the past. I needed to understand how we got here, how the woman I once loved, the mother of my child, could hold Lily down while a monster kicked her. It went back to the money. It always goes back to the money. Elena never knew the truth about my job. When I started Black Aegis 10 years ago, it was dangerous work. I didn't want her to be a target. So I set up a shell structure. On paper, I was just a contractor. I earned a decent salary, enough for a nice house in the suburbs and a solid college fund for Lily, but I wasn't buying yachts. I wanted us to live a normal life. I wanted Lily to grow up grounded. But Elena wanted the shine. I remember the day she asked for a divorce. It was 2 years ago. I had just come back from a 3-month rotation in Syria. I was tired, covered in grime, carrying a duffel bag filled with dirty laundry. She was waiting in the kitchen, not with a hug, not with a meal, but with papers. I can't do this anymore, Joshua, she said. She was wearing a dress that cost more than my first car. She looked perfect and cold. Do what? I asked, putting my bag down. Be married. Be married to a nobody, she spat. Look at our friends, Josh. Cindy's husband just bought a vacation home in Aspen. Mark just got a massive promotion and bought a Tesla. And what do we have? A Toyota Tundra and a husband who smells like gun oil. We have a home, I said quietly. We have a daughter who loves us. We have zero debt. That's more than most people. I don't want zero debt, she screamed, throwing a wine glass into the sink. It shattered. I want a life. I want to go to galas. I want people to look at me with envy, not pity. Oh, there's Elena. Her husband is off playing soldier again. It's embarrassing. That was the moment I knew it was over. Not because she wanted money, but because she saw my sacrifice, the blood, the sweat, the nights away, as an embarrassment. Is there someone else? I asked. She didn't have to answer. I heard the engine rumble outside. It was a low, guttural growl that shook the window panes. I looked out. A lime-green Lamborghini Urus was idling in our driveway. His name is Silas, she said, lifting her chin. He's a developer. He owns half the commercial district downtown. He treats me like a queen, Josh. He doesn't disappear for months to play in the sand. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw a stranger. Fine, I said. You want the divorce? You got it. But Lily stays with me. Oh, please, she scoffed. You're never here. No judge will give custody to a mercenary who lives out of a rucksack. Besides, Silas loves kids. He's going to be a great father figure to her. Better than you ever were. That line, that specific line echoed in my head now as the jet began its descent into Virginia. Better than you ever were. I poured myself a whiskey, my hand shaking slightly, not from fear, from rage. Marcus Ghost Vance, my second in command, walked out of the cockpit. Marcus was a giant of a man, an ex-SEAL who moved with a terrifying silence. He placed a thick folder on the table in front of me. Intel is in, boss, Marcus said. His voice was gravel. We dug into Silas Thorne. The guy is a ghost, but not the good kind. I opened the folder. Photos, bank statements, police reports. He's not a developer, Marcus explained. He's a front man. He washes money for the cartel out of Miami. That empire of his is built on loans he can't pay back. And the Lamborghini is a lease. He's 3 months behind on payments. So he's broke, I said, flipping through the pages. Worse, he's desperate, and he's violent. He has 2 assault charges in Florida that disappeared because witnesses suddenly stopped talking. I looked at a photo of Silas smiling at a gala, his arm around Elena. She looked triumphant. She looked like she had won the lottery. She didn't know she was holding hands with a drowning man who would pull her under. And Elena? I asked. She's clueless, Marcus said. But she's complicit. We pulled the security footage from inside the house. Silas installed cameras everywhere to watch his staff. He forgot to turn them off in the living room. Marcus hesitated. He put a hand on the folder. Boss, you don't want to watch the video on the plane. Wait until we land. Show me, I commanded. Joshua, show me. He pulled out a tablet and tapped the screen. The video was grainy, black and white. It showed my living room, the room I had painted, the room where I taught Lily to walk. Lily was standing by the couch. Silas was shouting, pointing at his shoes. There was mud on the carpet. Clean it up, you little brat. Silas's voice was tinny through the speakers. No, Lily said. Her voice was small but firm. You made the mess. You clean it. Silas moved so fast. He backhanded her. She fell. Then I saw Elena. She walked into the frame. She didn't run to Lily. She ran to Silas. She put a hand on his chest. Calming him down? No. She's ruining the vibe, Silas, Elena said. She's doing this on purpose to make you mad. She needs to learn respect. That was when Silas grabbed Lily by the hair. That was when he dragged her to the stairs. I smashed the tablet against the bulkhead of the plane. The screen shattered, sparking. Marcus didn't flinch. He just took the broken device and set it aside. We land in 20 minutes, Marcus said softly. The team is meeting us at the hangar. We have the convoy ready. No convoy, I said, staring at the horizon. I don't want to spook him yet. I want to look him in the eye. I want to smell the fear on him before I burn his world down. Copy that. What vehicle do you want? The Phantom, I said. And get my suit. The black one. I wasn't going to the hospital as a soldier. I was going as a CEO. I was going as the man who owned the company Silas was desperately trying to get a contract with. He didn't know it yet. He didn't know the man he was trying to impress was the father of the girl he just put in the hospital. The plane banked. The wheels dropped. I'm coming, Lily. Hold on. The smell of a hospital is universal. Antiseptic, floor wax, and misery. I hated it. It reminded me of field triage units, of losing good men. I walked through the automatic doors of Cedar Hills General. I wasn't wearing my fatigues. I was wearing a bespoke Italian suit that cost $5,000, tailored to hide the scars and the muscle. Marcus walked a step behind me, dressed in a dark suit, looking like a Secret Service agent. We bypassed the reception desk. I already knew where she was. Room 304. As I turned the corner into the pediatric wing, I saw them. They weren't even in the room with her. They were in the waiting area down the hall. Elena was looking at her phone, scrolling through Instagram, probably checking how many likes her latest brunch photo had received. Silas was pacing, talking loudly into a cell phone, looking annoyed rather than concerned. "I don't care about the zoning permit," Silas barked. "Just pay off the inspector. That's what I pay you for." He was wearing a linen suit, loafers with no socks. He looked like every sleazy villain in every bad movie I'd ever seen. But this was real, and my daughter's blood was on his hands. I kept walking. The sound of my dress shoes on the linoleum was a steady, rhythmic drumbeat. Click, click, click. Elena looked up first. Her eyes went wide. She nudged Silas. "Joshua?" she said. She sounded surprised, maybe a little scared, but mostly annoyed. "What are you doing here?" Silas hung up the phone. He sized me up, looking me up and down. He smirked. He saw the suit, but he didn't see the man. He saw an ex-husband. He saw a loser. "So this is the famous G.I. Joe," Silas said, stepping forward. He was tall, but he was soft. "Dowie. Elena said you were in the desert playing in the sand. Did you go AWOL just to come cry about a little accident?" I stopped 2 feet from him. I didn't blink. "Accident. Lily fell down the stairs." Elena chimed in quickly, standing up. She tried to fix her hair. "She's clumsy, Josh. You know how she is." And then she started making up these wild stories because she's jealous of Silas. "Jealous?" I repeated. The word tasted like bile. "Look, buddy," Silas said, stepping into my personal space. He poked a finger into my chest. "We have this under control. We don't need you here causing a scene. Go back to your little war. Leave the parenting to the people who can actually provide for her." He poked me again. "Did you hear me?" I said, "Get lost." I looked at his finger. Then I looked at his eyes. "You touched her," I said softly. "She needed discipline," Silas shrugged. "She disrespected me in my own house. And you," I looked at Elena, "you held her down." Elena flinched. I was trying to calm her down. She was hysterical. "Get out," I said. Silas laughed. It was a barking, ugly sound. "Excuse me? You don't tell me what to do. I'm the one paying the bills here. I'm the one with the lawyers. You're just a grunt with a cheap suit." He reached out to grab my shoulder, to shove me. It was a mistake. My hand moved before my brain even processed the command. I caught his wrist. I twisted. Not enough to break it, not yet, but enough to bend the joint in a way nature never intended. Silas gasped, his knees buckling. He went down to one knee. "Let go," he shrieked. "You're assaulting me. I'll sue you. I'll own you." I leaned down, bringing my face close to his. "Listen to me closely, Silas. You don't own anything. You're leasing a life you can't afford. And right now, the rent is due." I squeezed tighter. He whimpered. "Get out of this hospital," I said. "If I see you near my daughter again, I won't twist your wrist. I'll dismantle you, bone by bone." I released him. He fell back onto the floor, cradling his hand. He looked up at me with pure hatred. "You're dead," Silas hissed. "You have no idea who you're messing with." "Neither do you," I said. Elena looked at me, terrified. "Joshua, you can't threaten us. I have full custody. I'll call the police." "Call them," I said. "Please. I'd love to show them the bruises on Lily's back." Elena went pale. She grabbed Silas's arm. "Come on, let's go. We'll call Mr. Henderson. We'll get a restraining order." They scrambled away, retreating down the hall like rats fleeing a sinking ship. I took a deep breath, composing myself. I smoothed my jacket. I turned to Marcus. "Stay at the door," I ordered. "Nobody comes in." "You got it, boss." I walked into room 304. It was dark inside. The only light came from the monitors beeping rhythmically. Lily was lying in the bed, looking so small. Her face was swollen. There was a dark purple bruise blossoming across her jaw. Her arm was in a cast. My heart shattered into a million pieces. I pulled a chair up to the bed. I took her uninjured hand. It was cold. "Lily," I whispered. Her eyes fluttered open. They were hazy with pain medication. She blinked, trying to focus. Then she saw me. "Dad?" she croaked. "I'm here, baby," I said, tears stinging my eyes. "I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." "You came?" she whispered, a tear sliding down her cheek. I thought you were too far away." "There is no such thing as too far," I said. I kissed her hand. The door opened softly. It was Dr. Chen. She was holding a clipboard. She looked at me, then at Lily. "Mr. Sterling," she said quietly, "can I speak to you outside for a moment?" I nodded to Lily. "I'll be right back." Outside the room, Dr. Chen's face was grim. "It's not just the ribs, Mr. Sterling," she said. She showed me the x-rays. "See these hairline fractures on her radius? These are old, maybe 3 months. And here on her tibia, another healed fracture." I stared at the images. Old breaks. "And her blood work," Dr. Chun continued. "She's malnourished. And we found traces of benzodiazepines in her system. Sleeping pills. They drugged her." I asked, my voice trembling with rage. "It looks like they were sedating her," Dr. Chun said. "Probably to keep her quiet, to keep her out of the way." I leaned against the wall, closing my eyes. 3 months. This had been going on for months, and I had been halfway across the world, thinking she was safe, thinking the money I sent was taking care of her. "I failed her," I whispered. "No," Dr. Chan said firmly. "You're here now. But you need to know, Mr. Sterling. Her mother, she tried to block the x-rays. She said it wasn't necessary. If you hadn't called." "I need those records," I said, opening my eyes. "I need everything. Every scan, every test result. Document everything." "I already have," Dr. Chun said. "I'm a mandatory reporter. I've already contacted Child Protective Services." But what?" "But Silas Thorne has friends in high places," she said warningly. "The last social worker who investigated a complaint at his house was fired a week later." I looked at the doctor. He might have friends, but I have an army. I took out my phone. I called the number for Evelyn Pierce, the most ruthless lawyer in the state. She was expensive, vicious, and she owed me a favor from a kidnapping case I handled for her niece in Mexico. "Evelyn," I said when she answered. "It's Joshua. I need you to file for emergency sole custody. Tonight." "Joshua?" She sounded surprised. "It's 9 p.m. What's happening?" "I'm declaring war," I said. "And I need you to bury them in paperwork before I bury them in concrete." We moved Lily that night. I didn't trust the hospital security, not with Silas's connections. I had a safe house about 20 miles north, a secluded property that looked like a cabin but was fortified like a bunker. Bulletproof glass, independent power grid, and a medical suite. Dr. Chun agreed to come with us to monitor Lily. She was risking her license, but after seeing what Elena did, she was on our side. By midnight, Lily was sleeping in a secure room. Marcus was patrolling the perimeter. I was in the command center in the basement, surrounded by monitors. My tech specialist, a kid named Jinx, was typing furiously on a keyboard. "I'm in their cloud," Jinx said, popping a piece of gum. "Silas is sloppy. His password was Money King 1. Idiots. What do we have?" I asked, staring at the screens. "Financials first," Jinx said. "You were right. The guy is underwater. He owes $4 million to a shell company in the Caymans. That's cartel money, boss. He's been washing cash through his construction projects. But he's skimming off the top. He's stealing from the thieves. And Elena? She's burning through your alimony checks," Jinx said. "She's paying for the lease on the Lamborghini. Did you know that? She signed the lease because Silas's credit is shot." I laughed, a humorless sound. Elena was paying for the status symbol that she left me for. The irony was bitter. "What about the house?" I asked. "The house I built. The house I gave her in the divorce settlement so Lily would have stability." "Mortgaged to the hilt," Jinx said. She forged your signature on a quitclaim deed 6 months ago to get you off the title, then took out a second mortgage. They spent the equity on trips to Cabo and that fake jewelry she wears. Forged my signature. That was a felony. Another nail in their coffin. But here's the kicker, Jinx said, pulling up an email chain. Look at this invitation. I leaned in. It was an invite for a gala being held at my old house tomorrow night. The Future of Security, hosted by Silas Thorne. He's pitching investors, I realized. Not just investors, Jinx pointed. Look at the guest list. He's trying to land a government defense contract. He's inviting General Clayton. And he's trying to get a meeting with the CEO of Black Aegis. I stared at the screen. Silas had sent 5 emails to the general inquiry inbox of my company, begging for a meeting with the director. He wanted to offer his security consulting services to us. He wanted to be a subcontractor for the very company I owned. He doesn't know, I whispered. He has no idea. He thinks the CEO is some guy named J.S. Sterling, and he assumes it's some old billionaire in D.C., Jinx laughed. He doesn't know J.S. Sterling is the guy whose finger he tried to break in the hospital. A plan began to form in my mind. A cruel, poetic plan. Jinx, I said. Reply to him. Reply. Send him an email from the CEO's office. Tell him the director of Black Aegis accepts his invitation. Tell him the director will be arriving by helicopter tomorrow night to sign the exclusive partnership contract. Jinx grinned. You're going to crash the party. I'm not crashing it, I said. I'm the guest of honor. My phone rang. It was Evelyn Pierce, my lawyer. Joshua, I've got the emergency order, she said, her voice crisp. But we have a problem. The judge assigned to the emergency rotation is Judge Harkin. He plays golf with Silas. Of course he does, I muttered. He denied the immediate removal order, Evelyn said. He says there's no proof of immediate danger since Lily is in the hospital. He set a hearing for Monday. Until then, Elena technically still has custody. If she finds out where Lily is, she can bring police to retrieve her. Let them come, I said. Joshua, no, Evelyn warned. If you refuse to hand her over to the police, you'll be arrested for kidnapping. You'll lose any chance of getting her back legally. We need hard evidence. The medical records are good, but Elena is claiming Lily fell. It's her word against a child's. I need a smoking gun, I said. I need a confession, Evelyn corrected. Or a witness. I looked at the monitors. I looked at the surveillance feeds Jinx had hacked into. Jinx, I said, is there any audio in the house? Only in the living room, Jinx said. But they are in the bedroom talking right now. I watched the silent feed of the bedroom. Silas was pacing. Elena was sitting on the bed, crying. They were arguing. We need to hear that conversation, I said. I can't enable the mic on their phones remotely without a ping. They might notice, Jinx said. Then I remembered. The teddy bear, I said. What? Lily's teddy bear. Mr. Paws. I gave it to her before I deployed 3 years ago. I installed a nanny cam in it so I could see her if I missed her. It has a 2-way audio feed. Battery lasts for years on standby. Where is it? Jinx asked, typing furiously. I looked at the bedroom feed. There, in the corner, kicked into a pile of dirty laundry, was a brown bear. Activate it, I ordered. Jinx hit a key. Static hissed. Then voices, clear as day. You idiot! Silas was screaming. Why did you let him take her? If she talks to the cops, we are done. The inheritance from your grandmother comes through next month. But only if you have custody of the kid. That trust fund is the only thing keeping the loan sharks from breaking my legs. My blood froze. The trust fund. My mother had left a substantial trust for Lily, accessible only by her guardian. That's what this was about. Not love. Not family. They needed Lily as a key to unlock the money to pay Silas's debts. I didn't know he was coming back. Elena sobbed. He was supposed to be in Yemen. And don't yell at me. You're the one who kicked her. You broke her ribs, Silas. If she dies. She won't die, Silas scoffed. She's tough, like her loser father. Look, tomorrow night is the party. Once I sign the deal with Black Aegis, I'll have a $10 million advance. We won't need the trust fund. We can pay off everyone. But you have to keep your mouth shut. If anyone asks, she fell down the stairs. Got it. Okay, Elena sniffled. But Joshua. He looked dangerous, Silas. Joshua is a nobody, Silas laughed. Tomorrow I become a king, and kings don't worry about peasants. I hit the record button. Gotcha, Jinx whispered. Save that, I said, standing up. Make 10 copies. Send one to Evelyn. Send one to Detective Ray Gallo. And keep one for the party. What are you going to do? Jinx asked. I walked over to the gun rack on the wall. I didn't take a rifle. I didn't need one. I took a flash drive. I'm going to go to a party, I said, and I'm going to introduce the king to the guillotine. The sun set on my old house, bathing it in a golden light that hid the rot inside. From the live drone feed on my tablet, I could see the valets parking Ferraris and Bentleys on the lawn I used to mow. Silas had gone all out. Catered food, an open bar, a string quartet. The elite of the city were there, corrupt politicians, shady developers, and people who confused money with class. I was in the air, sitting in the back of the Black Hawk. This time I wasn't wearing a suit. I was wearing my full tactical dress uniform, medals on my chest, the patch of Black Aegis on my shoulder. And beside me sat Marcus and 4 of my best operators, fully armed. ETA 2 minutes, boss, Rodriguez called from the cockpit. Set us down right on the tennis court, I said. Down below, the party was in full swing. I watched the screen. Silas was standing on a makeshift stage, holding a microphone. Elena was next to him, wearing a glittering red dress, smiling that fake smile I knew so well. Ladies and gentlemen, Silas's voice boomed over the speakers. Tonight is a historic night. We are about to announce a partnership that will change the face of global security. My company, Thorn Dynamics, is joining forces with the legendary Black Aegis. Applause. Elena clapped the loudest. The director of Black Aegis is arriving any moment to personally sign the contract, Silas bragged. This validates everything I've built. That was my cue. Light 'em up, I said. The Black Hawk roared over the trees. The sound was deafening. The wind formed, the rotors hit the party like a hurricane. Champagne glasses shattered. Napkins flew everywhere. The string quartet stopped playing and ducked. The guests screamed, looking up. The searchlight from the helicopter pinned Silas on the stage like a bug under a microscope. We descended. The wheels touched down on the tennis court, crushing the net. The side door slid open. My team exited first, establishing a perimeter. The guests gasped. Men in full tactical gear with rifles tends to kill the party vibe. Then I stepped out. I walked through the crowd. The sea of people parted. I saw shock on their faces. I saw recognition on some. Is that Joshua? I heard a neighbor whisper. Elena's ex? I walked straight to the stage. Silas was frozen. His smile was faltering. He squinted against the spotlight. What is this? Silas shouted over the dying whine of the rotors. Who do you think you are? You're ruining my event. Security. 2 rented mall cops stepped forward. Marcus just looked at them and rested his hand on his holster. They backed off immediately. I climbed the stairs to the stage. I stood face to face with Silas. You wanted the director, I said. My voice amplified by the silence of the crowd. I'm here. Silas looked confused. He looked at my uniform. He looked at the Black Aegis patch. You? He laughed nervously. You work for them? Look, tell your boss I'm waiting. Get off the stage, grunt. I took the microphone from his hand. I don't work for Black Aegis, I said to the crowd. I am Black Aegis. A gasp rippled through the audience. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. I built this company, I continued, my voice steady. I own every helicopter, every weapon, every contract. And you, Silas, sent me 5 emails begging for a job. Silas went pale. No, that's impossible. You're broke. You drive a truck. I drive a truck because I don't need a leased Lamborghini to prove I'm a man, I said. I pulled the flash drive from my pocket. I motioned to Jinx, who had infiltrated the AV booth. You wanted to show everyone your success. Silas? Let's show them who you really are. The giant projection screen behind us flickered. The logo of Thorn Dynamics disappeared. The video from the teddy bear appeared. It was audio first. Silas's voice screaming. The sound of the slap. Clean it up, you little brat. The crowd went silent. Deathly silent. Then the video from the hidden camera Jinx hacked. The living room. Silas backhanding Lily. Elena watching. Silas kicking my daughter while she curled in a ball. She's ruining the vibe. Silas. Elena's voice rang out from the speakers, crisp and clear. On the stage, Elena collapsed to her knees. No. Turn it off. Please. The guests were horrified. People were turning away. Some were filming with their phones. The video cut to the bedroom conversation. The inheritance from your grandmother. That trust fund is the only thing keeping the loan sharks from breaking my legs. The truth hung in the air, naked and ugly. I signaled Jinx to cut the feed. I looked at Silas. He was trembling. Sweat was pouring down his face. You wanted a contract, I said. Here it is. I threw a folder at his feet. It wasn't a contract. It was the emergency custody order signed by a judge who had seen the video an hour ago. And here is something else, I said. From the shadows of the lawn, flashing lights appeared. Blue and red. Sirens wailed. Detective Ray Gallo walked onto the stage, followed by 4 uniformed officers. Silas Thorne, Ray said, holding up handcuffs. You are under arrest for aggravated child abuse, money laundering, and fraud. Silas looked at the cops. Then he looked at me. His eyes went wild. The arrogance finally cracked, replaced by the desperation of a trapped animal. He reached into his jacket. He's got a gun, Marcus shouted. Time slows down in a firefight. Slows down here, too. Silas pulled a small silver pistol from his waistband. It was a cowardly gun, flashy and small. He didn't aim at the cops. He didn't aim at me. He grabbed Elena, pulling her in front of him as a human shield, and pointed the gun at her head. The crowd screamed. Guests dove under tables. Back off! Silas screamed, spit flying from his mouth. I'll kill her. I swear to God I'll kill her. Elena was sobbing, her makeup running down her face. Silas, what are you doing? I love you. Shut up, you stupid cow. Silas roared. This is your fault. If you had just kept that brat quiet, we would be rich. I stood still. My team had their weapons raised, lasers dancing on Silas's forehead, but they couldn't take the shot. Elena was moving too much. Silas, I said calmly, put the gun down. There is nowhere to go. My chopper is behind you. The cops are in front of you. It's over. I'm leaving, Silas yelled, dragging Elena toward the edge of the stage. I'm taking the helicopter. He looked at me. Tell your pilot to fly me out of here, or your ex-wife's brains get painted on the lawn. I looked at Elena. Her eyes met mine. For the first time in years, I saw the woman I used to love. I saw fear. I saw regret. She realized, finally, that the man she traded me for was a monster. Joshua, she whispered, help me. I didn't move. Silas, look at the lasers on your chest. You are a businessman, right? Do the math. You pull that trigger, you die. You surrender, you go to prison. You can still breathe in prison. Silas hesitated. His grip on the gun loosened slightly. He was a coward. Cowards want to live. Drop it, Ray Gallo shouted, stepping forward. Silas panicked. He shoved Elena forward, throwing her onto the ground, and tried to swing the gun toward me. Bad math. Crack. It wasn't my gun. It was Marcus. One shot. Clean. The bullet hit Silas in the shoulder, spinning him around. He dropped the gun and fell, screaming, clutching his shoulder. The police swarmed him. They pinned him to the ground, cuffing his hands behind his back. He was crying now, begging, squealing like a pig. My shoulder. You shot me. Police brutality. I walked over to him. I put my boot on his chest, pressing down just enough to shut him up. You broke my daughter's ribs, I said quietly, so only he could hear. Consider the shoulder a down payment. Get him out of here, Ray Gallo said, pulling Silas up. I turned to Elena. She was sitting on the stage floor, shaking. Her red dress was torn. She looked up at me, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Joshua, she sobbed. Oh God, thank you. You saved me. He fooled me. I didn't know. She reached out for my hand. I looked at her hand. Then I looked at her face. You held her down, I said. Elena froze. What? In the video, I said. You didn't just watch. You held her arm. You told her to be quiet so you wouldn't lose your inheritance. I was scared. Elena pleaded. He made me do it. No, I said. You chose the lifestyle. You chose the car. You chose the parties. And when the bill came due, you tried to pay it with our daughter's safety. I stepped back. Joshua, please. I'm her mother. Not anymore, I said. The emergency order grants me full custody. You have a restraining order against you. You can't come within 500 feet of Lily. But the house, she stammered, looking around. Where will I go? He spent all my money. I looked at the house. My house. The bank will foreclose on this place in a month, I said. I suggest you find a job. I hear Walmart is hiring. They have a good salary for beginners. I turned my back on her. Joshua, she screamed. You can't leave me here. I have nothing. I didn't look back. I walked toward the helicopter. I have everything I need, I said to myself. I climbed into the Black Hawk. Let's go, Rodriguez. Take us back to the safe house. My daughter is waiting. As we lifted off, looking down at the flashing lights and the ruined party, I didn't feel triumph. I felt exhaustion, but mostly I felt relief. The war was over. The bad guys lost. But the healing was just beginning. The silence of a Montana morning is different from the silence of a combat zone. In war, silence is a threat. It means the enemy is waiting. It means an ambush. But here, on the ranch I bought 3 weeks after the incident at the gala, silence is a promise. Promises that nobody is coming. Promises that the only thing I have to fight today is a broken fence post or a stubborn horse. I sat on the porch, a mug of black coffee in my hand, watching the sun crest over the Sapphire Mountains. It had been 6 months since I landed a helicopter on a tennis court and destroyed my old life. 6 months since I stopped being the ghost, the commander, the CEO in the shadows, and started being just dad. The transition wasn't easy. You don't just switch off a lifetime of adrenaline. For the first month, I slept with a pistol under my pillow. I checked the perimeter sensors 5 times a night. I woke up at every creak of the floorboards, convinced Silas had found a way to hurt us again. But Silas wasn't hurting anyone. He was sitting in a maximum security holding cell, waiting for a trial that was going to bury him. And Elena, well, we'll get to her. The screen door creaked open behind me. I didn't reach for a weapon. I smiled. Morning, Dad, a sleepy voice said. I turned to see Lily rubbing her eyes. She was wearing oversized flannel pajamas and fuzzy socks. Her hair was messy. The bruising on her face was long gone, faded into a bad memory. But I knew the scars were still there, deeper down, where X-rays couldn't reach. Morning, Bug, I said, shifting my chair to make room for her. Sleep okay? She hesitated. Mostly. I had a bad dream around 3 a.m. My heart tightened. About the house? About the stairs, she whispered. She sat down, pulling her knees to her chest. But then I heard you snoring from down the hall, and I remembered where I was. And I went back to sleep. I chuckled. I do not snore. I perform tactical breathing exercises while unconscious. She laughed. It was a rusty sound, still getting used to being used again, but it was the best sound in the world. Breakfast? I asked. Pancakes. Is there any other kind? We went inside. The kitchen was open, warm, filled with light. No white marble. No pretentious art. Just wood and stone. As I mixed the batter, I watched her set the table. She was different now. Before, she was a bubbly teenager who loved TikTok and mall trips. Now she was quieter, more observant. She watched people's hands when they talked. She flinched if a door slammed too hard. It killed me to see those reactions, to know that her mother and that monster had installed fear into her software. But she was also stronger. So, I said, flipping a pancake, Dr. Chun called yesterday. She said your physical therapy is officially done. The ribs are fully calcified. Stronger than before. Does that mean I can ride today? Lily asked, her eyes lighting up. I don't know, I teased. Hope is a spirited horse. Think you can handle her? I handled you for 14 years, she smirked. I can handle a mare. I laughed. Fair point. After breakfast, we walked down to the stables. I had bought 2 horses. One for me, a sturdy quarter horse named Tank, and one for Lily, a beautiful white Arabian mix I named Hope. Watching Lily with the horse was my therapy. She was gentle but firm. She brushed Hope's coat with a rhythmic soothing motion. Animals don't lie. They don't manipulate. They don't pretend to love you for money. Lily needed that honesty. As she saddled up, I saw a black sedan driving up the long dirt driveway. Dust billowed behind it. My instinct flared. I stepped in front of the stable door, my hand instinctively going to my belt where I carried a knife. Old habits. But as the car got closer, I recognized it. It was a courier service. A young man got out, looking nervous about the no trespassing signs he had ignored. He handed me a thick envelope. Delivery for Mr. Joshua Sterling, he said. Requires a signature. I signed. He left. I looked at the return address. Virginia State Correctional Facility for Women. My stomach churned. Lily walked out leading Hope. She saw the envelope. She stopped. Is that from her? She asked. She didn't say Mom. She hadn't said that word in 6 months. Yes, I said. You don't have to read it. I can burn it right now. Lily let go of the reins. She walked over to me. She looked at the envelope with a mixture of curiosity and disgust. Open it, she said. Lily, you really don't. Open it, Dad. I need to know. I tore the seal. There was a single sheet of lined paper inside. The handwriting was shaky, desperate. I read it aloud, my voice flat. My dearest Lily, I hope you are well. I miss you every single day. I know you are angry, and you have every right to be. But please understand, I was a victim too. Silas controlled me. I was afraid. I never wanted you to get hurt. I am your mother, and I love you. Please, tell your father to drop the charges against me. If you do, maybe the judge will let me see you. I can explain everything. I just want us to be a family again. Love, Mom. Silence stretched between us. The wind rustled the dry grass. She's lying, Lily said. Her voice wasn't sad. It was cold. She wasn't a victim. She drove the Lamborghini. She went to the parties. She laughed when he made fun of you. She's desperate, I said. She's facing 5 years for child endangerment and fraud. She thinks you're her ticket out. Lily took the letter from my hand. She stared at the words. She doesn't ask how I am, Lily noted. She doesn't ask about my ribs. She asks me to drop the charges. That's who she is, honey. Narcissists don't change. They just change their targets. Lily looked around. Her eyes landed on the small fire pit we used for evening bonfires. Do you have a lighter? She asked. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my Zippo. I flicked it open, the flame dancing in the breeze. Lily held the corner of the letter to the flame. We watched as the paper curled and blackened. The words love and family turned to ash and floated away on the wind. She dropped the burning paper into the dirt and stomped on it. I don't have a mother, Lily said, looking me in the eye. I have a dad, and I have a horse, and that's enough. She turned around and walked back to Hope. She swung into the saddle with a grace she didn't have months ago. She looked tall, proud. Come on, Dad, she yelled. Race you to the creek. I watched her gallop away. I looked down at the ash on the ground. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders that I didn't know I was carrying. I had been worried that she would want to go back, that the biological bond would be too strong to break. I was wrong. My daughter was a warrior. She had severed the limb to save the body. I whistled for Tank. I mounted up and kicked him into a gallop. The wind rushed past my ears. For the first time in my life, I wasn't running toward a fight or running away from a memory. I was just riding. We spent the afternoon by the creek, skipping stones. "Dad," Lily said, looking at the water, "what happened to the money?" "Which money?" "The money from the house. The money Silas stole." "Gone," I said. "The bank took the house. The Lamborghini was repossessed. Silas's assets were frozen and seized by the federal government for money laundering." "So she really has nothing," Lily said. "She has a public defender and a cot in a cell," I said. "And when she gets out, she'll have a criminal record. She'll have to work for everything she gets." For the first time in her life. Lily nodded. "Good. Is it?" I asked. "Does it feel good?" "It feels fair," she corrected. "It's not revenge, Dad. It's consequences. You taught me that actions have consequences. If I didn't do my homework, I lost my phone. If she helps a man beat her kid, she loses her freedom." I looked at my daughter with awe. She was 14 going on 40. "You're smarter than I was at your age," I said. "I would have just punched someone." "You did punch someone," she smiled. "You broke his shoulder." "That was Marcus," I clarified. "I just stepped on him." We laughed. It was easy. That night, after Lily went to bed, I went into my office. I opened my laptop. I had an email from Evelyn Pierce. Subject: Sentencing update. "Joshua, good news. Silas Thorne took a plea deal to avoid federal RICO charges. He pleaded guilty to aggravated assault on a minor, fraud, and money laundering. He got 20 years. No parole for at least 15. Elena refused the plea. She went to trial. The video you provided was the nail in the coffin. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. She was found guilty of child endangerment and accessory to assault. She got 6 years. It's over, Joshua. You won." I closed the laptop. I didn't feel like celebrating. I poured a glass of water and walked to the window. I looked out at the dark expanse of the ranch. Somewhere out there, coyotes were howling. I had spent my life building Black Aegis. I built it to protect VIPs, politicians, oil tycoons. I thought that was important work. I thought that was power. But I was wrong. Power isn't a helicopter or a squad of soldiers. Power isn't a bank account with 8 zeros. Power is the ability to dry your daughter's tears. Power is the ability to provide a safe place where she can sleep without nightmares. Power is knowing that the monsters are locked away because you put them there. I turned off the light. The war was truly over. 3 years later, standing on the podium, looking out at a sea of faces, I felt a different kind of nervousness than I used to feel before a mission. I adjusted the microphone. I was wearing a suit again, but this time, it didn't feel like a costume. "Thank you all for coming," I said. My voice echoed in the grand hall of the new community center. When I started the Lily Sterling Foundation 3 years ago, I didn't know if anyone would care. I was just an angry father with a checkbook. Laughter rippled through the crowd. I looked at the front row. Lily was there. She was 17 now. She was applying to colleges. She looked radiant in a blue dress, sitting next to Marcus, who looked uncomfortable in a tie but happy to be there. "We live in a world that tells us success is measured by what we have," I continued. "Big houses, fast cars, status." I fell into that trap. My ex-wife fell into that trap, and it destroyed her. She chased the shiny things so hard she forgot that the most precious thing she had was waiting at home. I paused, looking at the young faces in the back of the room. Teenagers who had been in the foster system, kids who had run away from abusive homes. They were the reason we were here. "I built a company called Black Aegis to fight wars," I said. "I thought I was protecting the world, but I realized I was just fighting symptoms. The real war starts at home. It starts when a child is told they aren't good enough. It starts when a parent chooses a partner over their kid. It starts with silence. I took a deep breath. Today, we are opening the Safe Harbor Initiative. This building will provide free legal counsel, emergency housing, and therapy for any child or spouse fleeing domestic violence. No questions asked. No bills sent. We have the best lawyers in the state on retainer. I nodded to Evelyn Pierce in the second row. And the best security money can buy. Applause broke out. It was loud and genuine. I had the resources to save my daughter, I said over the clapping. I had a helicopter. I had a team. Most people don't. Most kids don't have a dad who can kick down a door with an army. This foundation is for them. We will be your army. As I walked off the stage, Lily ran up and hugged me. You did good, Dad, she whispered. We did good, I corrected. It's your name on the door. Yeah, well, don't let it go to your head, she teased. You still promised to teach me how to drive stick shift on the truck this weekend. I might regret that, I laughed. Tank is my baby. I thought I was your baby? You're my favorite human. Tank is my favorite vehicle. There's a distinction. We walked out of the hall together, Marcus trailing behind us like a loyal shadow. Life had settled into a rhythm. Lily was doing great in school. She wanted to study law. She wanted to be like Evelyn Pierce, fighting for kids who couldn't fight for themselves. Elena was still in prison. She had 3 years left. She wrote letters occasionally. Lily never opened them. We kept them in a box in the attic, unopened. Maybe one day, when Lily was 30, she would want to read them. Maybe not. It was her choice. That was the gift I gave her, the freedom to choose. Silas was rotting. I heard from a contact in the prison system that he was having a hard time. Turns out, pretending to be a rich tough guy doesn't work well when you're surrounded by actual tough guys who have nothing to lose. He had lost weight. He had lost his arrogance. He was exactly where he belonged. I drove us back to the ranch. The sun was setting, painting the sky in purples and oranges. I pulled the truck over at the top of the ridge overlooking our property. We sat on the tailgate, watching the horses graze in the distance. Dad, Lily asked, leaning her head on my shoulder. Yeah. Do you ever miss it? The missions? The adrenaline? I thought about it. I thought about the dust of Yemen, the sound of gunfire, the feeling of being important in a global sense. Then I looked at my daughter. Safe, healthy, happy. Not for a second, I said. I was an architect of destruction, Lily. That's what a soldier is. We break things so politicians can build things. But now I get to build. I'm building a life. I'm building a future for you. I'm building a safety net for other kids. You're a good architect, she said. I have good inspiration. I looked at the stars appearing one by one. This was the victory. Not the moment Silas was arrested. Not the moment Elena cried. Those were just battles. This quiet moment on a tailgate with my daughter was the war being won. I realized that revenge isn't about hurting the people who hurt you. That's just punishment. True revenge is living a life so full, so happy, and so complete that they become irrelevant. Silas and Elena were footnotes in our history book. We were writing a whole new chapter. I put my arm around her. Let's go home, I said. I think I owe you a driving lesson. In the dark. Best time to learn. I grinned. Eyes up. Stay alert. Roger that, Commander. She laughed. We drove down the hill, the headlights cutting through the darkness, moving forward, always forward. Friends, we have walked a long road with Joshua and Lily. This story wasn't just about a dramatic rescue or a satisfying revenge against a gold digger and a bully. It was a story about the true definition of value. Elena and Silas believed that value came from inheritance, luxury cars, and social status. They chased the appearance of wealth so desperately that they sacrificed their humanity. They forgot that money is a tool, not a master. Joshua, on the other hand, showed us that true power lies in responsibility. He had all the money in the world, but he knew his most valuable asset was his relationship with his daughter. The most important lesson here is about the courage to speak up and the duty to listen. Lily was brave enough to make that call, but Joshua was a parent who listened. In a world where we are often too busy or distracted, being present for our loved ones is the greatest protection we can offer. Abuse often thrives in silence. Breaking that silence is the first step to freedom. And finally, remember that biology makes you a mother or father, but only love and sacrifice make you a parent. Thank you for listening.